Hi, my name is Ryan. I've been doing tours of Rome and the Vatican since 2004, but I grew up on the east coast of the United States. My family left the Naples region of Italy about 100 years ago and emigrated to Connecticut, where they ran into my mother's French-Canadian family coming down the coast. So I grew up there in Waterbury, Connecticut. I went to school in Washington, D.C. and got my degree at the American University and moved here back in 2004 to begin speaking Italian. We're standing here now in Italy, looking into the Vatican City-State, an independent country inside the city of Rome. Just here behind me you can see a small fence, that's the borderline. On the other side of that fence is the smallest country in the entire world. It's only about a quarter mile squared inside of the Vatican. It is, however, the richest country in the world when measured for per capita wealth, and of any nation on the planet, the Vatican has the lowest birth rate. What you can see right now is St. Peter's Basilica. St. Peter's Basilica is the longest church on the planet at 186 meters in length. Inside it is absolutely beautiful and has some major works of art. Inside you will see the Pietà, a famous statue made by Michelangelo. You'll also find the largest bronze monument in the world. It was made by Gian Lorenzo Bernini. There's also the second largest bronze monument in the world. You could even find the body of a pope, John the 23rd, who lived in the 1950s and 60s. His body is on display there inside of the church. On the facade of the church, you can see there's a balcony over the main entrance. That is where the new popes are announced from after their election in the Sistine Chapel. That's also where the Pope gives his blessings on Easter Sundays. To the right of the Basilica, you can see a large gray building that's called the Apostolic Palace. That's where the Pope lives. Specifically the top floor and the 4 windows on the right-hand side. That's where Pope Benedict XVI lives now. John Paul II lived there before him, and other popes all the way back to the 1930s have been using that same apartment. On the square, you can see a large pointy object there. That's an obelisk. The obelisk was built in the 18th century BC. It is almost 4,000 years old. It was built by an ancient Egyptian pharaoh and brought here to Rome in the year 37. Now you know something is old when it's the year has only got 2 digits in it. And when it was brought here, at that time, it was already an ancient monument. It was already 1,800 years old. And now it's been here for 2,000 years old. That obelisk is now double ancient, and it's here on St. Peter's Square. The basilica that you see behind it, I mentioned St. Peter's Basilica. When they were building it, it took them 114 years. They began it in the year 1506, but they didn't finish until 1620. It took them so long to build that church that the people of Rome began to worry it would never actually be finished. Now that gave rise to a saying in Italian language, La fabbrica di San Pietro. You use this phrase to describe something that's taking so long you believe it might never actually be finished. Now you can use this phrase on your vacation here in Italy. The next time you go to an Italian restaurant, you have a wonderful meal and then you ask for your bill. 40 minutes later, when you're still waiting for your bill, you can simply say to your waiter, hey, this is like La Fabbrica di San Pietro. He's going to know what you're talking about, but he's not going to think it's funny. Now, directly to the right of the basilica, you can see a triangle rooftop. That triangle rooftop is the top of the Sistine Chapel. That is where new popes are elected in the conclave election. That's when the white smoke rises out of the chapel to announce the election of a pope. Inside of the chapel are the famous paintings by Michelangelo. The ceiling of the Sistine Chapel has the creation of Adam, the famous fingers of God and Adam that come together. There's also the Last Judgment, an enormous painting made by Michelangelo. And the chapel itself is attached to the Vatican Museums. Inside the Vatican Museums there is ancient artwork that the Romans and Greeks made 2,000 years ago. There's also Renaissance art that was made 500 years ago by famous artists like Michelangelo and Raphael. There's also some church history mixed into the Vatican Museums. Those museums are so large and so comprehensive that if you spent just 15 seconds looking at each work of art, your visit there would take you just 3 years. Now obviously that can be an overwhelming experience on your own. It's obviously better to go with a Presto tour guide, where it will be a safe, fun, and exhilarating experience rather than being overwhelming and tiring. My name is Ryan, and I hope to see you soon here in Rome.